Can you just talk about the return of Johnny Sexton, the return of Jordan Larmour, and what you're expecting from everybody? I mean, in terms of their health, everybody's pretty much all right.
Yeah. Like this period is always is quite tricky if you think the Christmas games. We throw in COVID into the mix as well. So we've had a game that had been postponed for as in the reasons we outlined last week. There's a lot of chopping and changing in terms of personnel. Off the back of the international series of games, and we always knew this was going to be quite a tricky period for us. So we've a lot of guys coming back in fresh this week. Attitude's been good. It's a short week, obviously, with a Friday game, but attitude's been good. Everyone's just keen to get up and running. There's a lot of guys obviously haven't played in a while, so we've wholesale changes from last week. Much more experienced group of players this week, but the challenge is trying to, I guess, is build a cohesion in our performance for what are 3 huge weeks. Ulster, who are riding high at the top of our conference, and obviously we've seen how the conferences have probably evolved, and exactly how that plays out, it's uncertain, but for us just trying to control what's in front of us at the moment. And then we're into the 2 European games as well. Friday, Northampton next Friday away, and then Montpellier at home the following Friday. So 3 huge weeks for us. And even obviously we'll have Scarlets at the end of that block as well. But again, the group will change again. So again, our group dynamic is always changing, based on some of the internationals and what those guys are doing. So I think it was important that those guys had a rest because it freshened them up for this block of games, really. But again, it's always the challenge of trying to restart the machine again, I guess. Certainly the attitude has been good and everyone's excited by the challenge.
Can I ask you for your impressions of Ulster, particularly over the last couple of weeks? They played well for half a game in Connacht, and it was good enough for them to win. And they had a win against Munster last week. Your impressions of them and how they've evolved over the last while?
Well, they have a lot more stability in their group, I think. Because they don't probably lose as many players at certain stages of the year. So I think overall their cohesion of their group is strong. I think they've a good group of coaches there who've done a good job, and then they're a very organised team, very efficient in lots of things that they do, and they do a lot of things particularly well, based on solid foundations around set piece, scrum, line and maul in particular. So we know that we need to be on our game. Ulster, like obviously it's a very single focus for them as well. The fact that they're out of Champions Cup, I know they've obviously still got the 2 games to play. We know that they're going very well in the league, unbeaten this year, and where suddenly the team is chasing them, which is a change for us, but it's a good challenge all the same.
And just a final question from me, given the fact of the sort of condensed nature of the league this year, does this have a feel of a must-win game about it, given the fact that there's a bit of daylight between you at the moment? I know you've games in hand.
Yeah, like it just definitely does feel like that for sure. We lose the game, and there's a pretty significant gap there. As you say, there is 2 games in hand, but how all that plays out is to be seen. So we'll wait and see. But for us now, we need to put in a big performance this week and get as many points as possible from the fixture, because of the situation we find ourselves in. Obviously we're on a good run of performances and results, but we've had one slip up at the weekend, and added to throw into that the couple of games that we've had to have postponed as well. Suddenly we're chasing Ulster and 10 points behind them. So we know we need to have a big performance this week. So we'll see where we're all sit at the end of the weekekend.
Good luck. Stay warm.
Leo, what's the thinking with is Ross going to play as an orthodox outside centre? And also, what's the story with Jimmy O'Brien? Is he just not fit enough to start? What's the whole thinking there?
Well, Jimmy took a bang in the shoulder, so he only just came back trained today. So that was the logic, really. So Ross had come back in, and how those guys set up between the 3 of them, obviously Johnny, Ross, and Robbie. We'll keep everybody guessing.
Okay, fair enough. James Ryan, with a particular emphasis on the new Ireland forwards coach, is James Ryan going to be calling the lineouts?
James will be, exactly, yeah. Fard's there to support him along with Reese.
Okay, and then finally for me to start, well, with Jimmy, you seem like you're really stretched in a couple of positions more so than normal. Is that fair enough to say? Like obviously with Ross at 13 stands out, but
Yeah, like we've a good few injuries particularly in the backs. Yeah, Adam Byrne hasn't played this year. Conor O'Brien, two guys. Obviously, Tommy O'Brien had that ankle surgery. James Lowe is getting closer. Hopefully, he might return to training at some point next week. Gary, obviously, with his jaw, and then comes back and re-injures himself. So, we've a fair old injury list. A few retirements, obviously, at the end of last season as well. So, we had a pretty young, inexperienced group last week, which I think will stand for those guys in time, as long as they learn the lessons from the game. But yeah, no, we have a fair injury toll in certain positions. But that's every team goes through these phases. I think it's fair to say this year has added a few different challenges with COVID-related issues as well. So, but no, overall, I think we're just trying to. I guess just it's the big focus on these 3 weeks now. Put in a big performance this week, and then we're back into Europe, and there's there are 3 very, very exciting weeks for us as a group.
Leo.
Hi Leo, how are you?
Sorry, Leo, just following on from what Gavin was saying about all the injuries, it does seem to be far more like injuries than normal. Is this something to do with the change in season or the condensed fixtures, or is it just bad luck?
I think there's just a bit of luck at play there. Some of the guys, have yet to feature really. So we picked up a few probably post the lockdown as well. And it just happens that they're all in similar positions. Other positions we have plenty to choose from, but certain positions were just a little bit lighter. But that's off the back of even a couple of guys retired, like Fergus McFadden and Rob Carney are no longer with us as well. So that's just the way, unfortunately, the way it's played out.
Paul Walsh, you were looking to come in there for Virgin Media.
Thanks, Marcus. Leo, how are you? Can we expect a pumped up Leinster tomorrow, considering what happened against Connacht last day?
I think you can expect 2 sets of players to be pretty pumped up now, yeah. Because it's the top of the table, top of the conference clash, there's so much at stake. I think Ulster will be coming down here full of confidence because they haven't lost in the league yet this year, so they're naturally going to be confident. For our guys off the back of losing, I know a lot of our guys that are in this team. Can you hear me?
Guys, can we go on mute there, please?
So obviously for our guys, we've a different group. As we said, we manage guys over the Christmas period, but like everyone's looking at the table, and like we're 10 points behind Ulster. So you don't need to be a mathematician really to understand the situation we find ourselves in. So we need to maximise the game and try and get as much possibly as we can out of the game, and try and deny Ulster getting a huge amount from the game. So it's a massive game for us. But again, like we saw last week, the Interpros this time of year, there's always that extra bit of edge in those games. So we need to make sure that we're mentally prepared for that challenge and meet it head on.
Just a quick one, final one from me as well, Leo. What do you make of Paul O'Connell during the Ireland setup? So this is a good decision?
No, definitely. Yeah, like Paulie is, someone with so much playing experience, and he's had his time as well. He obviously did a stint with the 20s and had his stint in France as well. So, but it sounds of it, he's been accumulating bits of knowledge over the last couple of years. So, in terms of what he bring to the group, yeah, like he's so much experience that he can pass on to lots of young players coming through now. I think it should be a very, very positive step for that national coaching group.
Thank you.
Thanks, Paul. Jerry Curry, if you want to ask a quick question.
Yeah, sure. Hi, Leo. Just in relation to the start nature of some of the Pro 14 and COVID situation, and then in relation to Northampton, I think there's issues there with COVID and that. How difficult is it to keep players' mind focused on games?
It's okay. We still have to remember, like, we're in a very privileged position that we're actually able to play games. Where everyone is. There's lots of people out there that aren't able to go to work and are stuck in their homes based on public health advice. Whereas we get the opportunity to play games at the weekend, which is a great privilege. There's been challenges. We started preparing for the Scarlets game late in the week. The game gets called off. Similar with the Munster week, we did the brunt of the preparations, and then post testing we run into a bit of trouble, and then we're hearing of obviously other games. So it is easy to get sidetracked by that. But at the end of the day, we can't control lots of the different things that are going on out there. I think it's a credit to everyone. We pulled tight together in terms of not pulled tight together, social distancing, pulled tight together. But in terms of getting the amount of negative results we had back this week, I think it's a great testament to everyone involved in the club. So, and you need a little luck along the way. So, because as we have seen with the figures nationally, the COVID numbers are very, very high at the moment. So, we're just trying to control what we can control, and that's obviously trying to put in a big performance against Ulster, and we'll see where we all sit for next week's game against Northampton, and obviously see where they sit as well. But we can't control what they're doing. All we can control is what we're trying to do.